Industry is one of Pennsylvania's bedrock industries. It's the industry that forged the early pioneer efforts and provided shelter, fuel, transportation, and infrastructure, along with a variety of other benefits to the people that founded the Keystone State. While practices and mindsets have changed considerably over the generations, and education and sustainable forestry practices have changed the very public face of lumbering in many respects, there are still the basic traditional labor jobs that one might expect in this industry. But lumbering has continued to evolve as well, and now high-tech and entrepreneurial options are speaking to new ways of managing and utilizing our most renewable natural resource. We'll look at some aspects of one of Pennsylvania's traditional industries that may surprise you.
You drive by places like this all the time and don't quite realize what goes on there, why it happens, and how much money that you can make working in a shop like this. You know, I think that's key.
The lumbering industry. Today on Futures Fast Forward.
This episode of Futures Fast Forward is brought to you by our friends at Miller Welding and Machine Company. Founded in 1963, Miller Welding and Machine Company of Brookville, Pennsylvania is a single-source solution encompassing fabrication, machining, and finishing technologies aimed to meet the wide range of needs that our customers demand. Staffed with a team of engineers and highly skilled employees, our quality and our commitment make us a leader in this industry. We provide our customers with high-quality parts by continually improving the processes we use, and we provide our employees a safe and satisfying work environment and invest in their futures by constantly investing in new technologies. 2 readily accessible state-of-the-art facilities accommodate our workforce of over 300 highly skilled employees. For current news and employment opportunities, visit our website at www.millerwelding.com.
This is a pretty big operation, Brookville Wood Products. Tell me a little bit about how this operation started, how old the business is.
Well, it's over 40 years old. The Mitchell family began the business and serving mostly the furniture industry, you know, a little bit of the flooring industry, but one thing that they did for a long time was supply billets to bat manufacturers. And I was saying a little bit earlier how, you know, it's important to diversify, especially in the wood products industry today, you know, finding new niches and opportunities. And one of ours was the fact that we were supplying a lot of the billets to other bat manufacturers, so that's one of the reasons why we got into making bats. So the company supplies a lot of product to the furniture industry. It's used to be almost exclusive to that, and so it's dropped over the last say 10 years, but now it's more flooring industry, baseball bat industry, not just with our bats, but we do sell billets to other manufacturers. And there's also a lumber mill that provides wood to either cabinet shops or furniture manufacturers, you know, quite a few other, we'll say, all interior hardwood industries.
This is a unique type of business. You guys are serving clients all around the country. Do you go overseas at all?
Well, in the woodworking end of it, we do. For the flooring, a lot of the product is exported to Europe and some of the Asian countries. The flooring product, that's 99.9% going to other countries. With the bats, we're doing a little bit of exporting in terms of to Canada, to Mexico, some of the other countries such as Japan. So that's not so much. It's 98% domestic for the bats, but the company in whole altogether, there is a lot of we'll say background when it comes to exporting and making products to the grade of international quality.
Do you give bats to any major league baseball teams, sir?
We provide bats for over 15 to 20 major league players and over 120 minor league players. Some of the key guys is Johnny Damon, the New York Yankees, Justin Morneau, the Minnesota Twins, Javi Lopez, the Baltimore Orioles.
altogether, like I said, there's 15 guys that are major league players, but we deal with a lot of minor league organizations, the Texas Rangers, New York Yankees, New York Mets, Minnesota Twins, Pittsburgh Pirates. We have a player in all 30 organizations.
Innovation and diversification is what has kept this industry alive, and there's not much greater of an example of this than Brookville Wood Products and the story of their bat-making enterprise. But before we get too deep into how the bats are made, we stopped by their drying operation to learn the basics of hardwood preparation.
Yeah, what you see here is vacuum kilns. It's much more advanced than your typical, we'll say, steam-operated dry kilns.
So what these machines do is they take the moisture out of the bat, drying it. Is that what the...
It takes the moisture out of the wood, and you know, typically it'll come in at the free weight of, when it comes in, it's about what, 40% moisture, green?
Actually 40 to 70% moisture.
Really? That's that green?
Yep. And what they'll do is when they're all said and done, they're down to 6 to 8, depending on, you know, some of the ash material is 10 to 12, so, you know, for bats. So it depends on what they're making, how far they take it down, but you're looking between 40 and 60 to 70%. You know,
any moisture in the bat at all, or do you take it all out?
No, you have to have some in there or else it'll be too brittle. If you go down to, say, 3-4% in the moisture content, the bat will be very brittle. It'll break very easily. What you see with this is 10 days to 14-day drying times, which allows you to turn over your material and wood much quicker, also your money, of course.
Tell me about the technology that's at play here and how you guys manage it.
Well, it's basically a vacuum that's created inside these chambers. If you look, there's one operating and there's other ones that are sitting idle, but you can kind of see with the idle ones kind of how it's set up. What happens with the aid of a computer is there's an operator that uses a computer that manipulates the conditions inside the chamber in terms of the heat, the humidity, also the amount of suction that, you know, will process the moisture out of the wood, and all those conditions are manipulated inside one of these chambers. And what we'll do is we'll have different schedules in terms of how fast you add heat or humidity to each chamber, depending on what type of wood it is. So each type of wood and each size of wood has its own schedule on how you do that.
And I would imagine for your end use too, depending on the product that you're drying the wood for.
That's correct.
Tell us a little bit about
the mill does flooring. It does some furniture-based products. Also does bat stock. Now all three of those products have end uses, which require different, we'll say, moisture levels. What these kilns do actually is the cells will rise up during the drying process, and it kind of case hardens the wood. And when that happens, you get a harder piece of wood. So the feedback I get from major league players is, you guys have hard wood. That's the hardest wood we've seen. And there's a reason behind it. The reason behind it is we use these kilns. That's why I wanted to include this in the process, because one, it's very beneficial to the bat making process to have this hard wood. The ball will come off the bat much better. But it's also important that we have people like Darren that are included with this, because Darren's expertise in wood, he's been working in the woodworking industry for a long time, so he has a lot of expertise in not only wood properties, but how to schedule, we'll say, run the schedules of these kilns to get the best quality piece of wood.
Like Mike was saying, that screen that we're looking at right now is a load of 3-inch hard maple, which will be bat stock at the end. And once we get the loads loaded into the kiln and get everything fired up, then I come in and I load the schedule. So basically what you're looking at here are the set points of where we're at with the schedule now. It's all in steps, starting right from step 0, and we go right up to step 47 in this, and they're all in hours. It's all like in 4 hours it steps to the next step, and it'll bump it up a temperature or a degree, and you have to kind of watch. I can also monitor this from my house through a PC anywhere, where like over the weekend, if somebody's not here, I can always click on and make sure that, you know, we're running it where we need to be running.
Right. Is it a very fluid industry in regards to change?
Like now we see a lot more competition from, let's say, the Chinese manufacturers. You see a lot more competition from people from Indonesia, and now you're not just competing with the people in the United States or competing with the people in Pennsylvania, but you're competing with everybody in the world.
Wow.
So in that facet, it has changed. A lot of technology is the same. The same ideas apply in terms of processing wood, drying wood. Some of the technology has improved, of course. This is a perfect example of that. At the end of the day, it's the same principles, just some added technology, but the industry's changed quite a bit over the last 10 years in terms of what global competition has done.
Has competition threatened this business at all? Has it hurt your business at all?
Well, yes. You know, it's made people needing to diversify, and that's one of the reasons why we're focused more on, say, bats. And that's one of the reasons why we got into bats.
So that was a calculated move. You said, what can we do to customize?
A lot of the products that we're making here in these factories that you're seeing were not being made 10 years ago. You know, even 2 years ago. You know, there were different products, and you know, that's just because you either sit on the log or you get off the log, and you got to do what comes to you. You know, and that's kind of what has happened in the forest products industry in the last couple of years.
I think that's a really good point for any young person that's looking to get into pretty much any career. You have to be fluid. You have to be willing to adapt to the marketplace and change.
That's correct. Anything in this world is the same way. 1 out of 100 times will it ever be the same for your whole life.
That's really interesting.
That's what
I think that's
you have to see.
I think that's a natural thing with life too, you know. Also, you know, changing as you get older and different things.
Yeah, but I think a lot of young people don't consider that when they're making a career choice, though. You know,
no,
they don't. I don't believe that they do. I think they know what it is and what it's going to take, and then they go through the educational process that they believe that they're going to have to go through, and they think that that's it. Then they get into the real world and they go, "Wow, this ain't what they taught me in school."
Our look at Brookville Bats continues, and later we'll also visit a PA career and technical education school and a working lumber mill to learn more about what it takes to make a good living in lumbering today.
Who is this industry right for? You know, what kind of personality do you got to have to work in a place like this?
Obviously not one like you, Sam, because not only would you probably lose your job, but there might be criminal charges brought up as well. And we don't want to get into that. That's a good explanation. Leave it at that.
Futures Fast Forward is brought to you in part by Du Bois Business College, providing quality post-secondary education for over a century. Their commitment is to develop programs that enable their graduates to be successful in their field of study. And they work closely with businesses and set programs that correctly mirror current industry trends and the modern use of technology. With 3 campuses in central Pennsylvania, Du Bois Business College can help you touch your future faster. Visit them on the web at dbcollege.com.
Welcome to Jeff Tech, the school of choice. The IT industry is a dynamic entrepreneurial working environment that has a revolutionary impact on our economy and society. IT careers involve the design, development, support, and management of hardware, software, multimedia, and systems integration services. Through interactive media, network systems, information support service, programming, software development, and web page design, and management information systems. Get your career going today at the IT Academy at Jeff Tech, the school of choice.
This is interesting stuff. We're at Brookville Wood Products, taking a look at the bat division, and why don't we go take a look at some of the more finished products? I think that would be very cool, and tell us a little bit of the differences between what your clients like and don't like.
Absolutely.
Okay. What are the different jobs that are available at an operation like this?
Well, there's quite a few, and it goes from timber buying, you know, which that requires a lot of intense training in terms of being able to understand how much timber is worth to a company if you're to go buy it from either a landowner or a piece of timber that may be available through the state. So that takes some good training in terms of understanding the different wood species and what the value to an end consumer may be. There's careers available in the logging industry in terms of, you know, loggers that actually go in and harvest the trees and supply the wood to the mills. There's the trucking aspects of it. There's the actual
we'll say, sales end of it. You know, there's management, and that's understanding, you know, how, we'll say, the business may operate. And that's a lot of facets to it, of course. There's a lot of careers available when it comes to skilled workers and understanding, you know, wood properties. Depending on the operation in terms of wood industry and what the manufacturing process is, kind of dictates what all skills are needed.
Okay, Mike, hold on. Before we reach the bat factory, it'll be good for us to visit for a while with our friend Tracy Gaston at Gaston Lumber. This will give us an idea of what traditional Central PA lumbering mill operations are like and what opportunities exist there.
All right, so we're here outside of Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, on the border of Jefferson and Indiana County. Family-run business, Gaston Lumber. We're going to take a quick look at the facility here and find out how they take raw tree product into a milled, semi-finished piece of board that can be... What? I can't hear you. Oh, God. What? That you can make stuff out of. He says basically like skinning a deer.
Wash all the mud off the logs with a high pressure washer before we debark them. Basically like skinning a deer, I guess.
You guys are the killers in the group. Is it like skinning a deer?
Well, kind of, but you don't get the nasty smell though. That might be the only difference. We bring them down here and then wash them again before we run them through the head saw. Try and get the dust and stuff off of them as much as we can. Now in the wintertime when it gets real cold, we can't do that.
What's happening here?
We bring the log in here now and square it up for a resaw. We just take four sides off of it, take the slabs off, and then we send it over to our resaw. The reason for that being is this saw takes a 9/32 saw curve, and the resaw takes a 90,000. So there's a lot of savings in the sawdust. You don't make more boards instead of sawdust. He can actually turn the log both ways, whichever way is quicker. Like here, he'll turn it down around. Now he'll send that over to the resaw there. It's got a four-side square.
It's like slicing meat.
Leave it to Corey to view diversity in terms of food.
I imagine in the lumbering industry there's a lot of different markets that you can focus on.
For instance, the lumber is graded and it's separated into grades. In here, that's what our lumber grader's doing. He's grade marking the lumber, and then they put it in the right piles as it comes out the green chain here. And for, there's various different markets. If you're making, for instance, baseball bats, you need a piece of wood that's going to be like 4 inches thick, which would be called 16-quarter. You would take that, and like to make a baseball bat, you can't use the center of the log. You have to use out where you don't have the pith, what they call the pith, running through the center of it, to make it a usable product out of it.
Why don't you take us around, show us some of the different grades of wood that you're dealing with, and maybe explain how a grader does his job. What is, or she, I don't want to appear sexist here.
That board there, he's going to send back to the edger and re-edge it and to make it work more and put it into a higher grade lumber.
What's the grade on this wood, and how would you determine the grade?
This is 1 common boards here. This is 1 common pile. It has to yield 66 2/3%. And the way you determine that is you multiply surface measure plus 1 divided by 2, and that gives you your number of cuts, and then you're allowed so many cuts and so on, but basically it's got to yield 66 2/3%. Lumber here has only got to yield 50% usable wood in it. You can see there's a lot more defects in it. It's a lower grade wood. This is an FAS board. It has to yield 10/12. And the way you do that is it has a 7-foot surface measure. This board actually has 7 board feet in it because it's 1 inch thick. In order to determine the amount of yield in this board, if I'm going for an FAS board, I have to multiply it 7 times 10 to get 70 units. And the way we figure that out is I got 9 3/4 inches wide times the length up to that knot up there, and that'll give me 70 units. We have another grade here called 3A. It's only got to yield 25% on one face or 50% on the better face, as long as it's sound on the back side. Has, you can have like sound knots and stuff in the back side of the cutting of it. But you can see there's a lot less usable wood in this than the defects in it.
Fast Forward is sponsored in part by United Electric Cooperative. United Electric is special because it's owned by its members and is guided by a set of principles that reflect the best interest of those members. United Electric Cooperative members reside within 10 counties in PA, and the cooperative operates an electrical system that spans 7,000 square miles while employing 72 local people. United Electric Cooperative, owned by those we serve. Visit our website for updated job opportunities. Jefferson County, Pennsylvania is open for business with excellent tax-free building sites, a talented and experienced workforce, and business services specialized for your development needs. Jefferson County Department of Economic Development is ready to help you and your company grow and prosper. Join other prosperous companies such as Miller Welding and Brookville Equipment that have made Jefferson County their home. For more information, contact the Jefferson County Department of Development.
Does competition affect your business at all?
Oh yeah, definitely.
We have to go out when we buy the timber. We have to bid the timber, and the highest bidder gets it. Well, that makes you a loser in the end, because you pay too much for it, then you ain't gonna, you're not gonna get your money out of it. And it's so hard to do, because how do you know that tree standing in the woods what that tree's gonna cut out? Like maybe it's rotten inside,
Yeah.
As jobs go, chainsaw operation and cutting down trees represents only a small portion of this widely diverse industry. As we learned at Jeff Tech in Reynoldsville, PA, the big money opportunities come into view as you learn how to translate a tree into a real dollar value.
Of course, if you enjoy getting outside, like on a beautiful day like today, Mr. Bowser,
That's right.
lumbering is a great education to get. A lot of opportunities still in Pennsylvania.
One of the things that we do at Jeff Tech here is we take a tree from its natural state of standing in the woods, and we turn it into a finished product. And there's several different levels of doing that. One, we have to go out and cruise timber. We have to cruise timber and mark the timber. This is one of the ways the Game Commission marks it with a yellow dot on the game lands. Each of my seniors from the AM and PM have to do the same thing. They go through and mark with blue and orange, so I know which crew did what. They have to go through and measure the trees, put board footage of the trees, and put a dollar value to the tree, which is going to be turned back over to the Game Commission. They have their figures, we can give them ours. Which means we have to identify the tree, measure the tree, put a dollar value to that tree, so that we can go through and do this with all the trees in the plot. Then we can go out and put a dollar value to that plot. Now we have to move in after we bought that, and we have to move in and take these trees down. So now we got timber felling. This is overspray, we're not allowed to cut that. Right here, that's definite. We go in and you learn different notches, different safety techniques on how to drop a tree safely, properly, without ruining the tree or the surrounding trees around it. Because we got to protect our future. He's looking around to see his area out there. Everything's clear. There's nothing in the overhead, no animals, no people, no problems. So we have to learn how to drop them right. Then we move on to using the heavy equipment. Like some of you've seen behind me at the loader running, we also have a skidder we run out in the woods. You have to cut the tree down, now we have to skid it to the landing. We learn the proper ways of doing that. Then after
we get to landing, we have chainsaw usage again of cutting it to the length. It's called bucking the log. Once we buck it to the proper length, now we have a log truck back here. You have to learn how to load and transport with the log truck. We get it back into the shop area. We have 3 sawmills, 2 band sawmills, 1 circular sawmill. Now we can take the log and turn it into a finished product of a board. Now we got the board done, now we edge it, we trim it to length. We even have our own dry kiln up here. And we learn to dry kill our lumber.
You covered a lot of ground there as far as skill sets. In the lumbering industry, is it best to be a jack of all trades and know a little of everything?
That's how I got this job, being a jack of all trades.
There's several different aspects for even every process of logging a wood. There's several different jobs in each process. Like you said, you could get a different job in the forest, cutting down the trees, a different job in actually getting it to a product.
Correct. There's several different, I like to call them levels. But yeah, there's several different levels to actually taking a tree from the natural state to a finished product. Mill will have several different aspects. So you might want to learn all of them. That's how you get advanced, is moving up through the chain. You start out stacking, move up to edger, move to trimmer, move to head sawyer. Pretty soon you're making the big bucks. You go on to lumber grading. The woods. You may start out as a skidder operator, but eventually the big money is into felling the trees, to be a tree feller. So you have to work your way up the chain again, get the experience. Well, here at Jeff Tech, you can learn all that in the 3 to 4 years that you're here.
The young person leaves this program, they're well prepared, they've gained experience in the real world. What kind of entry-level positions, what kind of money are we talking about as far as maybe their first job out there with a company in the area?
When we start up here, we go to co-op. Co-op is going to basically be minimum wage. They're going to start you out training you the way they want you trained. You've got the basic fundamental facts down.
But that's when you're working while you're still in school.
Still in school.
Yeah.
I've seen as a lumber grader, if you went on to Memphis and got certified after we've taught you the basics, because there's only one school that certifies you, and that's in Memphis. But we can teach you all the basics of it. So when you leave here, you'll know them all. Go on to get your certification. You can start out $12 to $24 an hour being a lumber grader.
It's all about efficiency.
And what the manufacturing process is kind of dictates what all skills are needed. Like here at the bat factory, we look for having a technical background, a background with wood helps, but what we look for a little bit differently here than what they would up at the mill, say, is we like to see a baseball background.
That just about wraps up this episode, but be sure to stick around for part 2 of our lumbering exploration as we go deep into Brookville Bat's internal operations and take a look at a custom flooring maker in northwestern PA that has also seen the benefits of diversification.
Whenever customer knows Minnesota Twins places an order, we have his bat to make to this spec. Yeah, that's called cupping, and what that does is it actually takes some of the weight out of the bat. There's a green, there's an orange, there's a maroon. Now those colors are typically used for our fungo bats, which are for coaches. Teams will match.
What'd you call them?
Fungo bats.
Fungo?
Yes, they use those.
They're the word you don't hear often.
That's correct. That's correct.